So in the last class we discussed about the different activation functions. And we talked about where to use which activation functions. I gave you kind of some general rules. Today we will talk about optimizers. We have already discussed about one optimizer, gradient descent. If you do not remember, I recommend to go back a few chapters and learn about gradient descent where I have talked about this in more details. But let us go and write the formula for gradient descent. I hope this helps jog back the memory. Okay, now gradient descent is the most simplest optimizers, and even gradient descent is of three types. So we have batch gradient descent, then we have mini batch gradient descent, and finally we have stochastic gradient descent. Thankfully, the formula for all these gradient descents does not change. So it is the same as the old gradient descent. So how are these three gradient descents different? Let us talk about batch gradient descent. So what batch gradient descent does is, it calculates the differentiation, that is dl by dw, for all the data points. So it calculates for the first data point, second data point, and so on. Let's say we have 10,000 data points. So it will calculate the differentiation for 10,000 points. Once it has calculated the differentiation for all the 10,000 data points, it averages it out and updates the weight. So what is the problem with the batch gradient descent? Well, the first that you could think of is, since it has 10,000 data points and it calculates the gradient for all these 10,000 data points, it becomes kind of very slow. See, we have to update the weights for every epoch, and for each epoch, if it calculates the gradient descent for 10,000 data points, this becomes very slow. Now I have just taken 10,000 data points, but sometimes in training datasets we may have millions or billions of data points. So in that case, it will take a very long time just to update the weight. So we do not want that. Hence we have mini batch gradient descent. Now as the name suggests, it will not use the entire data point. So the differentiation here will be of, let's say, 100 data points. So it will randomly select 100 data points. It will calculate the differentiation of weights of these 100 data points and it will update the weights, right? This again itself has some problems. We'll talk about that later. Then we have stochastic gradient descent. Here it randomly selects one data point and updates the weight based on that. So the differentiation is calculated for one data point and the weights are changed based on the differentiation of that one data point. Okay. So these are some of the graphs. Here these are some loss functions and this is the minima point. This is where we have to reach with the lowest minima or the lowest cost function. Here this and here you have this. So you can see this indicates our loss function going inside towards the minima. This is the batch gradient descent. So in batch gradient descent, since we average out for all the data points, it is very smooth. So it goes very smoothly straightly towards the center. In mini batch gradient descent and stochastic gradient descent, since we are not using all the data points, the differentiation here for mini batch will be quite equal to differentiation for batch gradient descent, but it will not be the same. So that is why we have kind of this haphazard line going on here. And the same thing happens with stochastic gradient descent. So in stochastic gradient descent, since we are using only one data point, it is going to be very, very haphazard. It reaches the center, but it takes a very long time. And it is very haphazard. So what can we do so that we don't have to use so many data points and it requires so much of time, but at the same time, we cannot be this haphazard. So we use something known as stochastic gradient descent or mini batch gradient descent, whatever, with momentum. So the new term that is added is the momentum term. By the way, I forgot to mention, but mini batch gradient descent is the most used gradient descent among all these three. I think that is pretty understandable because this is not that haphazard and it does not take this much of time. So here are two figures. This is stochastic gradient descent and this is stochastic gradient descent with momentum. Here you can see this is very haphazard. Here this is haphazard, but it's not as haphazard as the one without momentum. So what exactly is the very big idea behind momentum? So what momentum says is, instead of using here, see, when differentiating, we are using just this term, right? Instead of using the differentiation for the last data point, let us calculate the differentiation for all the other steps as well. So for any one data point, instead of using the differentiation that has been calculated for that point, let us somehow add these data points as well into that. So that means it will average out the points and it won't be this haphazard. Okay, let me just make this clearer. So let me first change the notations, right? So this notation, let us just change it into something that is way more accessible. So instead of new and old, let us just write the iteration number. So tth iteration, any iteration before t is t minus 1 iteration. So the old will be replaced with t minus 1 and anything before that will be t minus 2, t minus 3 and so on. So we have wt equal to wt minus 1 minus eta times of dl by dw t minus 1. So the reason why I am writing this is because it becomes easier to write. Instead of writing new and old all the time, let us just represent this with the iteration number. And instead of writing dl by dw all the time, let me just replace it with gt, that is gradient at the tth point, right? So the new equation becomes something like this: wt equal to wt minus 1 minus eta times of gt. Cool. Okay. So now let us get back to the formula. So what happens is the formula remains the same. We just have a new term. So that means gamma times of Vt minus 1 plus eta times of Gt, where V1 equal to eta times of G1. Okay, I know this is getting a bit complex. So let me just expand this. Let's just replace Vt with this. Wt minus 1 minus gamma times of Vt minus 1 plus eta times of Gt. So you have Wt minus 1 minus eta times of Gt. This is the same as this equation here, right? Here, this one, right? It's the same thing. Minus gamma times of Vt minus 1. Now, if we replace Vt minus 1 here with this formula again, so this will bring us to gamma times of Vt minus 2 plus eta times of Gt minus 1. So this goes on and on, honestly, and this just comes out to something like this: minus eta times of Gt minus gamma times of eta times of Gt minus 1 minus gamma square times of eta Gt minus 2 and so on until it reaches gamma t of eta G1. Okay, so let me write this equation again. So what we get is Wt equal to minus eta times of Gt minus gamma times of eta times of Gt minus 1 minus gamma square times of eta Gt minus 2, and this goes on till we reach minus gamma t times of eta G1. So what happens is the gamma is always between 0 to 1. So let us assume that the gamma is 0.1 here. So Wt will be Wt minus 1 minus, so there is no gamma here. So let us suppose the weight here given is 1. So the differentiation at the tth iteration, the weight is 1. For the iteration before that, we have the weight of 0.1. For an iteration before that, we have 0.1 square, that is 0.01 t minus 2, and this goes on. So you can understand the pattern. What is happening is you give the most weightage to the point for which it is being calculated, but you also give some weightage here to these points. However, the weightage keeps on decreasing. So for the tth iteration, you have a weightage of 1. For the t minus 1 iteration, you have weightage of 0.1 for gamma equal to 0.1. For t minus 2 iteration, you have weightage equal to 0.01, and this goes on and on, right? So what happens is, since you are giving weightage to the previous points, it does not become this haphazard. It kind of averages out depending upon the position, and it is haphazard, yes, but it is a bit less haphazard now. Okay, so let us just recap on what we learned. We learned about gradient descent and the 3 types. We learned about batch gradient descent, and what it does is averages out the differentiation for all the data points and then updates the weight. It takes kind of a very long time. So we have mini batch gradient descent, which does not take the entire data point, but it takes, like, let's say a few data points and updates the weight based on that. Then we have stochastic gradient descent, mini batch, and then stochastic gradient descent. What this does is it takes any one point randomly and it updates the weight according to that random point. So we have some graphs that explain us better, and we learn about the term momentum. So momentum in short basically means giving weightage to the previous calculated gradient descents so that the next gradient descent is not as haphazard as the previous one. In the next class, we will learn about the different other types of optimizers, some modern day used optimizers like AdaGrad, AdaDelta, as well as Adam. And we will talk about details in different places and some general rules where we can use the different optimizers. Thank you for watching the video. Keep learning.